I'm not sure if they'll be on
Okay.
by the time you start, but if they are on, they would request that they go.
Okay, gotcha. We'll do it. If we see all right, let's see. Did we have, is Boston here? I don't see Boston.
Miss Robinson.
Hey, Ms. Robinson, on 5 South, that booth door does not open. Can you turn on?
Where is Boston? Or is it? Oh, there she is. Everybody sit up. 6 South, booth 3. Keep your head up. Okay, keep your head up. We'll get y'all out of here as quickly as possible. I promise. Give us a couple more seconds. See, I don't see the South Annex yet, but I know, Mr. Shub, I know you're going to you're waiving your client's appearance, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Hey, Bostic.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Bostic.
I apologize, Judge. I thought you were talking to me.
No, I was making sure you're going to waive your client's presence. Bostic.
Yes.
Hey, did you pull the history for Ronaldo Shepard, number 15?
I'm sure.
All right, make sure, because it shows on there out of custody because he's in DOC custody.
Right. We're gonna waive his presence.
So I wasn't sure if you pulled it since it showed he wasn't in custody.
Okay.
We'll do his first real quick because we're waiting on medical.
Okay.
Right, Ms. Bosky, you ready? All right, it's number 15, 23 CP 218324, Ronaldo Shepard. Armed robbery, ag assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, possession of a firearm by a felony first offender, and false imprisonment. Right now, he's in Department of Corrections custody, and he has no bond.
3 cycles probation, first offender, firearm during robbery, sentence 10-3-17, 3 years confinement, 7 years probation. Cases 23 CP 218791, robbery, 2 counts, false imprisonment, 2 counts, 23 CPs 218792, armed robbery, 2 counts, false imprisonment, 2 counts, nothing further.
You're right. Go ahead, Mr. Sean.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor. Judge, just to give you a little bit of information, I've got, and I'll state my place. I have his girlfriend. Is Miss Foster on? Miss Foster, will you wave your hand?
I don't see a Foster.
Oh God. Okay.
She's in the waiting room. She doesn't have her first and last name displayed. She just has an initial.
What's her first name?
It is CHARMEKA.
Do you want me to let her in, Judge?
That's
Please.
fine.
Please.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Ms. Foster, are you there?
Well, it's taking a second, so go ahead and make your
Okay.
make your argument while she's tuning in here.
I know this charge is very serious. I've got, and I'll state my place, I've got a statement from her, and I've got emails, text messages from the alleged victim. And what happened in this particular case, he paid $3,500 for a four-wheeler, and I've got emails from the alleged victim in this case. They were going back and forth, and he was supposed to have it fixed, but at some point, it was a situation that my client tried to get it back because the guy wouldn't fix it. And so when he goes there, at some point, they're making an allegation that he attempted to steal money, even though we have, and I will state my place, the information I have from my client and from Ms. Foster, who was there, is they were going back and forth and he wouldn't pay him. So he made an allegation that my client stole it when in fact he purchased it and the guy was supposed to fix it. So they've known each other for a good period of time, and my client actually had some other items that he had fixed, so he took them to him. So it's not quite what it seems, and I was kind of surprised by this. But the scenario involving my client, he's 24 years of age. He was born and raised in Atlanta. He works security. He is with a Georgia Emergency Response Agency. He's had that job, I understand, for 2 years. He graduated from high school. He has two little girls, one 7-year-old and one 7-month-old. I understand he's on active probation. Is that correct right now?
Yes.
Okay. So, like I said, he's born and raised in his Kaiser community, and this case is not, as I'm looking at the documentation, not what it appears. We would ask for a bond in the amount of $50,000, a GPS monitor, and a stay away from the alleged victim in this case.
I got Detron Poole and Rashad Toombs.
Yes, he knows both of them. I mean, he's been there, and they've done work for him. And like I indicated, this, and it says in the affidavit, Mr. Toombs said this is about a four-wheeler. So we don't dispute that. We just dispute that my client paid him for it and paid him to do some work on it. And they went back and forth on it. So it's more of a civil thing, but I think the alleged victim and his friend decided they would avoid the civil process and just make an allegation. So I would ask for a $50,000 good bond on it.
Go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have had contact with both Mr. Poole and Mr. Toombs, and both victims at this point are against bond. They both say that they feel threatened. So at this point, Your Honor, the state would recommend continuing in a no bond status. Of course, we will defer to the authority of the court.
Mr. Schaub, when does he get out of Department of Corrections custody? You have any idea?
I'm sorry. I don't know if they revoked him or what happened on that down there, but just let the court know he was arrested in May, so it's way past the 90 days and he hadn't been indicted. So
he's in Department of Corrections custody. You know when he's going to get out of Department of Corrections custody? Because he's not in Rice Street.
Right. I'm not sure what the total. No, wait. I have a probation here. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because he was charged in May. May 8th is when he was arrested.
Okay, and here's the situation. He signed a 6-month parole scenario, so they took him down there for failing to pay the fee, $210. So he went down there, unless I'm wrong, 3 months ago. So he's not eligible to be released or for them to even review it for, I believe, another 80 days. And even if they review it, they may or may not release him, but we're going to make every attempt to let them know, what the actual facts are. So we would ask that you set a bond. And so when they look at it, they may look at it in 90 days. That doesn't mean they're going to release him. It just means the bond is in place. So if they do release him, he'll have a bond.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 653 Julian Street, Julian. No further contact with Detraun, Datraun, last name Poole, Poole, and Rashad, Rashad Toombs, Toombs. Where's he gonna live? Fulton County?
Your
When he gets
Honor,
out?
the address I have is 1722 Beechwood Boulevard, Atlanta. That's
Is that where he'll live?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. You have ankle monitor, but they've stopped with the contract, so he'll have to pay for the ankle monitor with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, employment. He has to supply the name of his employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location he'll be working. I think I already said no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. So it's 25, 25, 10, 10, and 10. 25, 25, 10, 10, and 10. He comes up and gets his time. You can put him back on here.
Okay.
Judge, did you want us to prepare the order or will Mr. Shaw prepare?
Yeah, that's fine.
We can repair it if you prepare it. If the total bond is 70,000.
Yes, wait.
Hey,
You want me to prepare it, Judge?
80, yes.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. I appreciate your time, Judge.
Thank you. Have a good one. So we got South Annex first, right? Ms. Robinson?
yes, it was actually courtroom 2 that they wanted to go first because they were gonna have medical in there. I think
Okay.
they're just entering the Zoom. The person that's listed in medical position 13 and 14, they wanted to go first in courtroom 2.
Okay. All right.
Yes, sir.
What do you say, Mr. Shab?
8 and 13. Okay, we're about to do 13 now.
Okay, so we got the 13. Let's see. So we've got Deshaun Atmore Meta. Wave your hand if that's you. Wave your hand if you're Deshaun. All right, you want to swap places then? Wait. Why do I have a Deshaun Atmore Meta and 2 people waving their hands?
Because position 8 and position 13 are both in the courtroom, is what the deputy just told me.
No, but South Annex waved his hand too. All right, put your hand down. All right. All right, so we got 13, 23 CP 215673, 287 days without indictment, $50,000 good bond as of 5/4/2023. Battery, substantial harm, and aggravated battery. And we've got position 14. It's Deshaun Atmore Metha, METHA, 23 CP 218211, 287 days without indictment. There's a $100,000 good bond as of September the 5th. Free. Rah.
4 prior cycles of probation, terroristic threats, 12, 16, 22, 1 year confinement, 3 years probation, open case 22 SC 185213, aggravated assault, criminal damage to property, battery on a pregnant person, Judge Wall. Just within first appearance the other day, I was there, picked up a new case while in custody, 22 CP 223068, remove of a weapon from a public official. It was on the first, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Hemingway.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Atmore Meta, he has been in custody over 200 days at this point. Prior to being arrested, he was working at 6 Degree Marketing Agency. He also has one daughter that he takes care of. She's 3 years old. Since being in custody, he has been stabbed twice. He is a high school graduate. He's originally from New York, but he does have an address here in Atlanta, which is on his pretrial report. Is 2000 Monroe Place, apartment 17, Atlanta, Georgia, 30324. He does have a bond set on both of the cases that are on the calendar today. However, he's not able to make that bond. I am requesting for it to be reduced to a reasonable bond so that he can afford it. So about 20,000 on each case, Your Honor. And that's all.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Yes, Your Honor. We've had contact with the victim in one of the cases, and that victim is against bond. Somehow, even though the defendant does not know the victim, somehow the defendant reached out to the victim. And so that made the victim very anxious. So, Your Honor, we would recommend that the bond is reasonable given the fact that the victim fears for their safety.
All right, let's see. So on position 13, it's 50,000. So I tell you what, we're just going to leave both of them. I'm going to deny both of them. Best of luck to you, sir. Same conditions that we're on it too. Best of luck to you, sir. All right, let's see. Now,
And
who do we
that
need to
concludes
take?
my business. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank
Who
you,
do we
Honor.
need to take, Ms. Robinson? Is that who we needed to take?
It was position 8 is in courtroom, is in the courtroom there as well. Should be Hughley.
All right, hold on.
He's in
All
the
right.
seat now, Your Honor.
Joshua Hughley. All right, Joshua Hughley. This is yours, Miss McCauley.
Yes, Judge.
All right. Good evening. All right, 23 CP 218442, Joshua Hughley. $15,000 good bond as of 9/26. It's a felony CWAC case, 179 days without indictment. Free. Rah.
Mr. Hewley, for prior arrests, he was arrested for this charge before it was reduced to PI and convicted in 2018. There's battery, family violence convicted in 2021. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Benger.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Hewley is 32 years old. He was born in Atlanta, has lived here his whole life. Though he went into foster care at 1 year old and was bounced around in foster care and group homes his whole life, where he was never adopted. So he had a very difficult childhood that was plagued with a lot of abuse. He was working at Quick Professionals, which is a temp service. That's something he would be able to return to upon release, but unfortunately doesn't give him a consistent schedule, as it's just picking up jobs whenever they are available. He does have a certificate in safe search as well, which is something he uses for the temp service. He has a service dog, which is a registered ESA animal that he's had for about a year that he does really want to get home to, as he is the main caretaker of that animal. He has that dog because he is intellectually disabled, as well as has multiple MH diagnoses. While he's been in custody, he's received multiple Bible certificates, has enrolled into the Now New Beginnings program. So he's really been utilizing his time to better himself as much as he can while he's in Rice Street. He also was heavily involved in Connect Church ATL before being arrested, where he attended church very often, helped with their annual festivals and all of those sorts of things. For that reason, I'd be asking for a bond not to exceed $5,000. I understand that the allegations are concerning, but they are just that, allegations. He is presumed innocent at this point. He does have minimal history and no FTAs. So I'd be asking for a bond not to exceed $5,000.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. McCauley.
Yes, Judge. I reviewed defense counsel's motion where I did not find that there's a sufficient basis to reduce bond. I did not hear a significant change in circumstances that would justify a reduction in bond. The child statement of sexual abuse came out while they were being interviewed for another relative's instance of sexual abuse. Given the nature of the relationship between the victim and the defendant, as well as the defendant's ongoing access to that child, if he were to be released, because this is a close family relationship, the state would request the bond to remain as it is.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with I.B. I is in Indigo, B is in Bravo. No
That is the
further
minor child?
Yes, ma'am. And no further contact with that victim's family. No further contact with anyone under the age of 17. No drugs, no alcohol, no weapons. So he's going to live at Landrum. He's still going to live there?
Can't live there.
It's my understanding that is not necessarily a good address. There has been some issues with his family regarding this. So he's currently residentially challenged at this point.
All right. He must supply an address upon release where he'll be staying. And unfortunately, the commissioners took away the ankle monitors in that contract. So still, sir, you'll have a 24-hour curfew. You can only leave for court, lawyer, and medical reasons. I'm only going to reduce this down to $14,000 since I added some new terms. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Oh, and stay away from 961 DeSoto Street, Northwest. Best of luck to you, sir. All right, let's see. Cobb. That all you got, Miss McCauley?
No, I have two more, Judge. I have position number 5, Mr. Shelby. I don't know if it's already been heard. I did log on a little bit late. And then I also have position number 1, Miss Welch.
All right, let me take care of Cobb County first. Let's see.
Okay,
Who's here?
that's fine.
Somebody stand in for Miss Edwards?
Judge, is this on, I believe, position 2? Malloy.
Are you standing in for Miss Tessie Edwards?
Amit Shola Malloy.
Are you standing in for Miss Edwards?
Yes, I believe I filed an entry. I believe I filed an entry as well.
Okay, all right. All right, so yeah, Omatshola Mawoy. Sorry, sir, I probably destroyed that. He's right there in the Cobb booth in the orange. It's number 2, Bostic 23 CP 220876. 90 days without indictment, no bond as of August the 10th. Criminal damage to property, second degree theft by taking, misdemeanor, simple assault. Brief. Rah.
14 cycles at FTA, 2 arrests for probation violation, a couple of felonies, robbery and 07 and capital CWAC, sentence 7/12/12, robbery, probation 12 years confinement, 28 years probation. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead, sir. Mr. Marks.
Yes, Judge, the one felony that he's charged with here, the criminal damage to property, he's alleged to have basically punched a hole in drywall. This wasn't a violent offense. He's been in for 90 days, no indictment. He was working full-time prior to incarceration with the McCallum Group. It's a logistics company. He was working in the warehouse there, and he would be able to return to work upon his release. He's lived in Metro Atlanta since he was 12 years old. His mother and his sister, who he's very close to, both live here. If he's released, he would be able to reside with his mother, and that is in Tucker. That address would be 2334 North Lake Parkway, apartment 213. So we would ask for a reasonable bond, and given the circumstances and the allegations, I would suggest not to exceed $5,000.
All right, go ahead, Miss Williams.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have had victim contact in this case. I do not believe that the victim is signed on to the Zoom. However, the victim is against bond. She feels that there is a risk for intimidation. So at this point, Your Honor, the state would recommend that the case remain in no bond status. And if the court sees fit to grant a bond, that it be that you take into account the fact that there is an FTA, that there is a risk for witness intimidation.
Well, it's the old 90-day mark. I think Georgia law kind of gets in the way of everything. Got a number in mind because he's statutorily entitled to a bond.
Absolutely, Your Honor. For the criminal damage to property, the state then would recommend $10,000. For theft by taking, the state would recommend $5,000, and for simple assault, the state would recommend $5,000.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with Lynette Johnson. Common spelling, Johnnson. Stay away from 285 Centennial Olympic Park Drive in Atlanta, Georgia. You'll pay yourself for an ankle monitor with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and employment. You have to supply the name of your employer, proof of employment, schedule, and exact location you'll be working. So 10,000, 4,000, and 5,000. 10,000, 4,000, 5,000. Best of luck to you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Marks.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, so now we've got, you can go ahead and lay the booth, sir. All right, let's see. I've got Centerica Welch. All right. Position 1, Bostic 23 CP 220784. 92 days without indictment. No bond as of August the 7th. Cruelty in the first. Pre-trial.
6 arrests, arrest for probation violation, 2 misdemeanors, first offender in 2019 on burglary, open case 23 SC 189713, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, firearm during nothing.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Gibson Horn.
Judge, Miss Welch is a lifelong resident of Atlanta. Her family lives here. She currently lives with her fiance. She has 4 children, all under the age of 12. Currently, her sister is taking care of the 3 older, and the father of the 2-year-old is taking care of that baby. She has a good job with the Marriott Hotel doing housekeeping, the one by the airport. She is pretty sure she can get that job back. She does have a good address. I'm not sure if it's the one on file. Does the one on file begin with 380, Judge?
Just pull it up right now. Is it in Fulton County?
It is in Fulton County.
Let's see. All right, go ahead. Let me see. Odyssey's pulling up what the address is. Go ahead.
Okay.
6 South, Booth 3. Sit down. Get back in here and sit down. Go ahead.
Judge, her job also has a very pretty strict schedule. So if she were to be put on pretrial supervision, they would have no problem getting in touch with her. It's a 9 to 5 on weekends, 8 to 4 during the week, so that she has time to take care of her children. She does have a good support system. As I said, she lives with her fiance. He is willing to help her with, taking care of the children, getting back on the right track. And the bond we would be asking is not to exceed $5,000, Judge.
What I got on the pretrial report is a Jonesboro, Georgia address.
Okay, Judge, I will file a change of address.
So the address you're filing to, it's in Fulton County?
It is in Fulton County.
Okay, go ahead, Ms. McCauley. Oh, you're on mute.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm actually very familiar with Ms. Welch, as I'm very familiar with the victim in her 21 CP case. I appreciate defense counsel's argument that she has a very strict job schedule and would adhere to any rules put in place by pretrial services, but we are here already because she violated the rules of the state of Georgia. And it was reported there's a cruelty to children in the first degree case that's currently before the court. She has been in custody for over 92 days on this charge. So the state will consent to a bond. The state's going to consent to a $50,000 bond. No contact with any minor child under the age of 16. It's my understanding, Ms. Frazier, or the victim child in this case has been placed by the Division of Family and Children Services. I'm not clear on whether or not it's kinship care or if it is a family safety plan. I don't have that information right in front of me. However, we would just ask for no contact with any child under the age of 16. If the court would like to include a provision or as directed by the Division of Family and Children Services or the Juvenile Court of Fulton County, the state would have no objection to that.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with AF. That's a minor child's name, or anyone under 16 years of age unless they're directed to by Department of Family and Children's Service or an order from juvenile court.
Yes.
But I think this child isn't even hers. It's the boyfriend's child.
Correct.
So no further contact with her. Stay away from 440 Markham Street Southwest. $50,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, ma'am. Right.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Have a good evening. Got the bar card yet with your number on it?
Not yet.
Still
Still waiting.
All right, let's see. Shalitha Broom. All right, position 12, 23 CP 220129, 117 days without indictment. Let's see, no bond as of August 7th, aggravated assault. Free. Rah.
Judge, I don't mean to interrupt. Is that my case, Ms. Broom?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
Just a second, Judge. Oh, there it is. 2 cycles, 2 felonies out of state, forgery on probation, 9/1/22, 2 years confinement, 2 years probation, nothing further.
All right. Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Broom is 27 years of age. She has 2 children, ages 7 and 2, that are currently being cared for by her mother, Miss Stephanie Burns. Her mother is elderly, and so that has been a considerable hardship on her. Ms. Broom is a lifelong resident of the state of Georgia. She graduated from Lithia Springs High School. At the time of her arrest, she was working for the Georgia Secretary of State's office in their customer call service center, which makes me really call into question pretrial's report. My understanding from Ms. Broom is that she has no criminal history whatsoever, which makes me wonder if that other case might be some sort of identity fraud. I don't believe you can get a job with the Secretary of State while you're on felony probation, but I don't have anything to contest it right now. I'm just stating that as kind of off the top of my head. Well, you've read these warrants, Judge. My understanding is that she was there, but she's not alleged to have either had a gun in her hand nor to have any sort of problem with any of these people that were involved. So I don't really candidly understand what the probable cause was to arrest her in the first place. And she certainly has no reason to have any contact with any of these individuals that were involved in this case. So she's been in jail for over 90 days. She is statutorily entitled to a bond. And I'm asking that you give her a total bond in the amount of $15,000 with whatever conditions you deem to be appropriate.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have attempted victim contact in this case. The victim is Mr. Lancaster. We would definitely ask that Ms. Broom be ordered to stay away from Mr. Lancaster, also to stay away from any of the alleged co-defendants. The state recommends $20,000.
All right. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 3636.
I'm sorry to interrupt. To Mr. Milton's point about the criminal history, he could be correct. I just looked at it again and I saw it earlier. Thought it was a little confusing. At the top, it does says no record found, but at the bottom, when you scroll, it says Shalea Brown as a separate attachment out of state, and that's where the history is. So it could be a possible identification issue on the second part of the history.
Okay.
But it is on the one GCIC.
Okay. All right. Stay away from 3636 Saturn Drive in Atlanta, Georgia. No further contact with your co-defendant, D'Antonio Redd, R-E-D-D, and no further contact with Michael Lancaster. $20,000 good bond. Best of luck to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. 7 South, booth 3. Head up. Head up. 7 South, booth 3. Wake up. Somebody check on 7 South, booth 3.
Okay, Judge, I'm gonna make a call.
This is why we don't put our head down. All right, let's see. Jarvis Montgomery. Thank you. 7 South, booth 3. He's not moving. He ain't moving at all. Keep your head up. We're not sleeping. Keep your head up. All right, Jarvis Montgomery is position 9, 10, 11, 1, and 2 on the add-on. 23 CP 220339. 122 days without indictment. No bond as of 7/22 on armed robbery and hijacking a motor vehicle. Position 10, 23 CP 220035. 122 days without indictment. No bond as of 7/10 on armed robbery, ag assault, possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission of a felony. Position 11, 23 CP 220038. 122 days without indictment. 2 counts of aggravated assault, armed robbery, possession of a knife or a firearm during the commission of a felony, simple battery, and aggravated assault. There's a $5,000 split bond, with $5,000 being on the simple battery. Let's see. Then the add-on, it's 23 CP 220039, armed robbery, no bond as of 7/10/2023. Position 2 on the add-on, 23 CP 220338. 122 days without indictment, no bond for armed robbery, ag assault, possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, and simple battery. Pre-trial.
In regards to defendant, one cycle, all these cases came at once. There's also a 23 CR 00583 reckless conduct, 23 SC 189727 aggravated assault, firearm during battery, family balance at McBurney. 23 SC 189948 armed robbery, aggravated assault, firearm during McBurney. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Major.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Riley Montgomery is only 18 years old. He was born in Atlanta and lived in Atlanta his whole life. He is working on his GED. Though he is a child himself, he does have 3 kids. Those are children that he desperately wants to get back to. From my understanding, the youngest one, the 3-month-old, is currently hospitalized. He's really hoping that he can get out to be able to support these children and help these children, and they can grow up with a father in their lives. He was working at Delta doing wheelchair service before getting arrested, but he really wants to be a mechanic or a construction worker. His uncle has a construction business that he's hoping he'll be able to follow along and do that work with his uncle. He will be living with his mom when he gets released. And he has been stabbed while in custody. and has some issues. So for that reason, I'd be asking for a bond total not to exceed $50,000 on all cases.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Your Honor, given the fact that these cases all seem to have happened, it seems that the defendant was arrested and then committed an offense, or is alleged to have committed an offense while perhaps out on bond. Your Honor, the state would recommend that, given the number of cases, the number of victims that we have, the allegations in all of the in the cases, that the bond, as stated, is reasonable in order to protect the community, to protect the witnesses, to protect the victims, to protect other people's property. We defer to the authority of the court.
But it's over 90 days without indictment.
I understand, Your Honor.
Yes, Judge, to be clear, and I'm sure you realize that, Judge Manning, that a majority of these are on no bond status and have been on no bond status. So not necessarily that he's been out of custody and committed these new charges, but he's been in custody.
Is he still going to live in LaGrange? That's the address that was provided on the booking.
No, from my understanding.
Thumbs up or thumbs down. So are you going to live in LaGrange?
Yeah, the
Fulton
address
County?
I have for him is an Atlanta address.
All right. All right, on position 9. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2098 Campbellton Road. No further contact with George Fraley, Fraley. No further contact with your alleged co-defendants, Elijah Scott and David Brinkley. You're going to have an ankle monitor with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, employment. You have to, oh gosh, no ankle monitor. Sorry, the commissioner said no ankle monitors. Anyway, you're going to have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, or employment. As long as you supply the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. 50,000, then 50,000. Position 10. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. You're going to have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical. Stay away from 2909 Campbellton Road. No further contact with Angel Newens, N-U-W-E-N-S. No further contact with J-E-O-V-A-N-Y, last name V-I-L-L-A-C-T-A. No further contact with Juan, G-U-A-R-D-A-D-O, and no further contact with Juan Perez. 50,000, 50,000, and 20,000. Position 11. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. No further contact with Giovanni, V-I-L-L-A-T-A. Stay away from 2435 Campbellton Road. Stay away from 2328 Campbellton Road. No further contact with Juan Perez. Stay away from 1809 Shepherd Circle. No further contact with R-E-K-E-I-D-R-A, last name R-O-M-P-H. Stay away from 2900 Campbellton Road. No further contact with Rosa, last name H-E-R-M-E-N-E-G-I-L-D-O. You have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, and medical. 50,000, 50,000, 25,000, 20,000, 5,000, and 50,000. 50, 50, 25, 25, and 50,000. Now, add on. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. This is the one that's ending in 0039. No further contact with Juan Perez. Stay away from 2328 Campbellton Road. 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, and medical. $50,000 good bond. Add on for position 2, ending in 338. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 1631 Stanton, S-T-A-T-O-N Road. No further contact with Otis Hickson, H-I-C-K-S-O-N. 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical. 50,000, 50,000, 10,000, and 5,000. 50, 50, 10, and 5. Best of luck to you, sir. You can lead the booth. All right, now do we have Keith Shelby? Keith Shelby. All right, position 5.
Judge, I waive sounding on this one.
Oh, yes, ma'am. 23 CP 220906. Looks like it's 89 days without indictment, a $70,000 good bond. CWAC, kidnapping, false imprisonment, another CWAC. Preach, rah.
Just a second, Shelby. Judge, in regards to Shelby, 7 prior arrests, 1 misdemeanor, 1 FTA, nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, Ms. Major. Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, Judge.
It's okay.
Mr. Shelby is 25 years old. He was born in Atlanta, has lived in Atlanta his whole life. His whole family is in Atlanta, mom, sisters, brothers, all that good stuff. He did enter 12th grade, but he didn't finish and is interested in getting his GED. His dream job would be to be a nurse or a doctor, specifically an emergency room nurse is what he would love to do. He was working at Highland Bakery for about 8.5 years. He could return to that job, but he's planning to work at Crystal's. Crystal's is a place that his brother currently works and his aunt is the manager of. So he would be very close to family, be able to be transported there, have those ties and connections with him constantly. He would plan to live with his mom, which is an address in Atlanta. He before getting arrested, helped feed the homeless, would go to church with his mom, and really helped his mom around the house with bills. And his mom has some issues and she's unable to work on her own. She's unable to drive as due to her health issues. So Mr. Shelby was a huge help around the house. We did have a bond hearing, or we were heard on bond back in August, but that was denied. So he hasn't actually been heard on bond since his first appearance. So we'd be asking for a bond not to exceed $30,000 on all charges.
All right, go ahead, Ms. McCauley.
Yes, Judge. So I have a little bit of a different reflection of the docket. I have that a motion was filed on 9/1 of 2023 under the same basis that the current motion is filed, and that motion was denied on 9/1 2023. And then I think that was following the waiver of prelim that was filed. So that's a little interesting that those facts were conveniently left out.
Yes, Judge, that was just my incorrect on the dates. I was pulling the record.
Thanks.
I apologize.
Thanks so much. But the basis set forth in defense counsel's motion does not set forth a sufficient basis for a change in circumstances that would justify a reduction in bond, given the nature of the offense, as well as how long this defendant has been in custody. The bond as currently issued or currently ordered appears to be appropriate on behalf of the state. The state would request that no reduction be granted at this time.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with anyone under the age of 18. You can have a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical. No further contact with the initials MB. That's a minor, so it's M as in Mary, B as in Baker. Stay away from 2500 Center Street Northwest. No further contact with anyone under the age of 17. Yeah, I'm not going to change any of the amounts on this. Best of luck to you, sir. Just added the conditions. Best of luck to you, sir. You leave the booth. Kavian Thomas.
That concludes my business, ma'am. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Have a good one. Kavian Thomas. All right. Number 7, Ms. Rondon, 23 CP 220987, 342 days without indictment. Not on this necessarily, with battery and then riot in a penal institution. No bond as of 8/15. Pre-trial.
Thomas Kavian, 10 prior arrests, couple of felonies, theft by receiving in 2017 and 2020, open cases 23 CP 219025, aggravated assault and riot, 23 SC 186720, firearm by misdemeanor possession, theft by receiving, 2 counts assigned to Judge Richardson. Nothing further.
Go ahead, Ms. Rondon.
Yes, Mr. Thomas is 23 years old. He is a lifelong resident of the Atlanta area, and he does have his entire family here to include his child. He does have an 11th grade education, and prior to being incarcerated well over a year ago, he was employed and working in construction. He does have a good address. I believe it's the address of record where he would reside in Stonecrest with his mother. As mentioned by pretrial, there are no FTAs on Mr. Thomas's record, so there's no indication that he would be a flight risk of any kind. Due to the significant period of time that Mr. Thomas has been in custody. And on this case specifically, according to my math, he's been in for 86 days without indictment. So not quite entitled, but only 4 days off from being entitled. So I would still ask Your Honor to please set a bond. I would ask for a bond not to exceed 10,000 in total.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the state would recommend a total of 4,000, 2,000 for each charge.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact with ARCHARD, last name Williams, and no further contact with your co-defendant, John Kevius Anderson, JOHNKEVIOUS Henderson, ANDERSON. Stay out of Fulton County unless you're here for court or to see your lawyer. 2,000 and 2,000. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Colvin Lindsay.
And Your Honor, that was my only matter this evening. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. Have a good one. Thank you. Let's see.
You as well.
Thank you. This one said Miss Menger. Okay, this is your last one, right, Miss Menger, I think?
Yes, Judge, because my other cases have been declined to prosecute or dismissed for lack of PC. So yes, this is my last matter.
All right. Number 3, Colvin Lindsay, 23 CP 220284, 526 days without indictment. $10,000 split bond as of July 19th with 10,000 on willful obstruction misdemeanor, tampering with evidence, and possession of prohibited out of bond inmate. Pre-trial.
Judge, you said Greer, correct?
No, Lindsay, close.
6 prior arrests. Uppercase 22 SC 183965, capital offense, felony capital offense, 2 counts. Lethbridge, aggravated assault, firearm by a first offender, street gang, 2 counts. On probation, hijacking, sentence 1-14-21, 2 years. Confinement, 6 years probation, out of Clayton, nothing further.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Menger.
Yes, Judge. Mr. Lindsay is 22 years old. He was born and raised in Atlanta, lived here his whole life. His whole family is here, mom, dad, siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins. He has no kids. He did graduate from high school, and he does want to be an entrepreneur. And while he's out of custody, he does take care of his family, helps out a lot with his parents and his siblings. He would live at an address with his mom and his 17-year-old sibling. And he does do a lot of community service, feeding the homeless, and those kinds of things. And I was looking up to double check the other case, because I believe this case is UJR eligible. I'd be asking for a UJR or a bond not to exceed $3,000. In the indicted case, he is sitting in no bond status.
All right, go ahead, Ms. Williams.
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, the state would recommend for tampering with evidence 5,000, for possession of prohibited items 10,000, and willful obstruction 5,000.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, no further contact your co-defendant, Jalen Nelson, NELSON, 5,000 on each count. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. All right, I got Quintavious Greer. This is Greer, Bostic.
5,000 on each count would be an increase in his current bond, would it not?
Wait a minute.
I
Oh,
believe-
no, because it said 10,000 on count 3 and the no bond on count 1 and 2.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, that's okay. All right, let's see. I got Quintavious Greer. It's number 4, Bostic, 23 CP 218233, 81 days without indictment. No bond as of May the 5th. Receipt, possession, transport of fire by convicted felony first offender. Your seatbelt violation, affixing materials to windows, windshield that reduce light transmission. Unlawful person employed by, associated with criminal street gang to participate in criminal street gang activity. Pre-trial.
Greer, 7 prior arrests, couple of felonies, 1 of the cocaine. On probation, 22 SC 183-572. Conspiracy to violate RICO Act, 2 years confinement, 10 years probation, theft by receiving. Sentence 12/2022. Convicted of felony capital offense, 3 counts, armed robbery, aggravated assault with a deadly weapon during 8/10/19. Out on appeal on a $250,000 bond, Tennessee 92020. Nothing further.
All right. Go ahead, counsel.
Hey, good afternoon, Your Honor. Yeah, so what I'm asking for is a $15,000 bond total. It's 2 felony counts from what I understand, the possession of firearm. We're going to challenge all that at the prelim if we can get to one here in the next week or 2. I was surprised I didn't file a bond motion on this case. I just got the notification to show up tonight. So while we're here, I'd go ahead and ask for 15,000. He's 34 years old, been in Georgia the majority of his life. He's going to be in DOC custody. He got revoked for this new arrest because he was on probation in Fulton County. So he's got revoked 8 or 9 years off the top of my head. So we're going to be sitting in Fulton until we get this case resolved and then go back to DOC.
Judge, may I add a little clarification? The motion was sent to us to Orca to resolve the defense motion for him to remain at the Fulton County Jail from Judge Drake's office. That's why the motion was on.
And it looks like it's set for a prelim for 11/13 at 1 o'clock.
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Powers.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Greer, like defense said, he has been revoked for the remainder of the time he had on probation, which is a little more than 9 years at this point. At that probation revocation hearing, it was uncontested. As my understanding, Mr. Greer did admit to these violations. Obviously, that is a different burden of proof than it would be required at a trial, but it's definitely not a different burden of proof. Well, it is different, but it's a greater burden of proof than it would be required at the preliminary hearing. Judge, we would just ask, he has been in there with no bond. I don't know what a bond's going to accomplish in this kind of case. The state's concerned about any kind of defendant with this many gun charges and these many serious pending felonies. So we would ask for a $50,000 bond.
All right, let's see. And I know you want to keep him at Fulton County, but I don't know necessarily that that's going to be possible as they're trying to get people out. But I think the furthest they've moved someone is Forsyth. Is that right, Mr. Robinson? Have they said anybody as far down as Columbus?
Yes, Judge, but I think he's going to be in DOC custody based on the other case.
Oh, yeah, on DOC custody. So that's kind of up to them. I'm not going
to. That's why I haven't asked for a bond motion or anything like that, because I need him close to work with me on this case.
Yeah. So we're going to do like no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 221 Cleveland Avenue. No further contact with anyone that's associated with or affiliated with YSL or any gang activity or members at any kind, even if they think they want to be a gang. No replicas of weapons, no social media. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid by you with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, and medical. Is he still going to live on Oxford Road?
Mr. Greer, can you answer or nod your head, I guess, yes or no to Oxford?
Okay. So we got, let's see, 50,000, UJR on the seatbelt, UJR on the windshield, and 100,000 on the gang. Best of luck to you, sir. You can leave the booth. Thank you, counsel.
Thank you, Judge. Have a good night.
All right, you too.
That's all I have. May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Now we got.
May I be excused as well, please?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Now we got some bond modifications. So we've got Mr. Fortas. We've got Abdullahi Berry. Oh, distorted that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is your client here?
He's not. I'll be honest with you, Judge. I failed to tell him to be on, but it's rather simple. It's rather simple request.
All right. 23 CP 217968. Abdullai Berry, Barrie, like sale of goods with forged, counterfeit, trademark, service, copyrights, designs, felony. Anything I need to know, Bostic?
No new arrest, Judge. This is his only prior arrest. He's out on pretrial. It's been 120 days. He could actually come off of pretrial if requested. Nothing further.
Is that what you requested, Mr. Fortas?
Well, Judge, I think he was released from pretrial back in April of this year. What I'm requesting is that, number one, he drives out of state as a truck driver. I'd like for him to be able to leave the state. The other request I have is he's from Africa. He hasn't seen his family since this. He wants to travel out of the country to see them. My argument would be, number one, as you can see, this is not the crime of the century. I think that, him fleeing and not coming back would be rather ridiculous, number one. And number two, quite frankly, not that I would authorize him to do that, tell him to do that, but he could really just leave. I don't know who would find out, but he's just doing it the proper way. And this is the way he wanted to do it. So I would ask the court to grant him permission to travel within the United States while he's working. And also if he wants to go see his parents, that's fine too.
All right. What says the state?
AA Jonathan Salmon for the state, Your Honor. No objection as far as traveling within the country. The state does believe, however, staying within the country is a reasonable restriction. A UJR bond, stay within the.
So, Mr. Fortis, if you want to send something just to make sure that he's off pretrial, because sometimes, you know,
He's not. He's still reporting.
did they generate it off there? He's not reporting?
He was released
Mr. Sam,
to pretrial.
Mr. Salmon was kind enough to send me over the order that
Okay.
he was released from pretrial in April of 2023.
All right. I just want to make sure. Sometimes the order don't get in there. All right. So if you want to send it to me, you can update and he can travel for work as far as in the States.
What about out of
If
the
something-
country, Your
If
Honor?
something comes up, Mr. Fortis, just put it back on. I mean, I wouldn't keep him from seeing his parents if they got sick or something. You can just send something right to me if something happens, okay?
That's fine. Maybe I'll get a date and include it in the order. I think something's going on, but I'll let you know. Thank you,
Okay.
Judge.
Thank you.
May I be excused?
Yes, sir. Both of you. Thank you. All right, Wade.
Thank you, Judge.
Walton Wade.
Good evening, Judge. How are you?
Evening. All right. So we got position 3, 23 CP 216549.
Good evening, Judge. How are you doing tonight?
Doing well. Walton Wade. I got criminal damage to property, second degree, hindering person making a 911 call, and simple battery, family violence. Boston. Pre-trial. Anything?
No, he was released 3/1/23 on a straight bond. Nothing new to report.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Dixon.
Yes, Judge. We're just asking to modify his bond tonight. He was, I think, bond was set based on the stamp on the bond order on February 27th, 2023. Ms. Bostic says he wasn't released till March 1st. Somewhere in that time, regardless, and part of his condition of bond was to wear an ankle monitor. We had a bond hearing on 7/10 where we asked for his ankle monitor to be taken off, and it was denied. So we're asking again tonight. It's been 252 days he's had it on, which is about 8.5 months. He hasn't been in any trouble since he was given bond, since he's been out. No violations with the ankle monitor company. He's had no contact with the victim. It's alleged that him and the victim got in an altercation. It is alleged that he took her cell phone, I think, and may have thrown it down. A criminal damage charge and a hindering 911 call alleged. And due to the reason we're asking for the ankle monitor to come off is because due to him being outfitted in an ankle monitor, he hasn't been able to complete his job to the best of his abilities. He lays pipe for a living, and in order to do that, he's got to get into trench boxes and lay the pipe and go up and down ladders and things. And with the big bulkiness of the ankle monitor, he's unable to climb up and down the ladder to get into the trench box. And so he's been laid off recently. So if the state were to recommend, the Teletrex, I know that's $10 a day, about $300 a month as an alternative. He doesn't have the money to be able to afford the Teletrex monitor, and he's not paying, he's not paying anything for the ankle monitor because it's funded by the county. So we're just asking for the ankle monitor to come off, and that's all, Judge.
Ms. Williams?
Your Honor, the state has no specific grounds to object to the removal of the ankle monitor, so we would defer to the court's authority.
All right, Mr. Dixon, just email me in order to take it off, okay?
Thank you, Judge. I really appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right, you too. All right, is Victoria, thank you, sir. You can go ahead and leave. Is Victoria Jones here? I don't see Mr. Jerome.
Jerome Surge. I'll have to reset that because I'm not sure he didn't send any conflict letter or anything.
Okay, all right. Winquilla Anthony, Ms. Copeland. So we got 23 CP 217592. Let's see.
Yeah, it's a reconsideration for the modification of bond condition. We're requesting that the ankle monitor be removed. She's been on bond for 7 months with no incident. She successfully completed the pretrial service program, and she have not been indicted. And we're requesting for it to be removed because of job situations, Your Honor. And she have no prior record whatsoever.
All right, so this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 counts of forgery of the first degree theft by taking, and then let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 counts of theft by taking, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 counts of violation of both the office. Ms. Williams, what do you say?
Your Honor, again, I don't have in front of me any specific information that the state has been provided to object to the request, so we would defer to the court's authority.
Let me pull up, Ms. Pope, what's it? Let me pull up the bond order as it is real quick.
Okay. And you're gonna put background information. It was a situation where she forged her time.
Yes, ma'am.
That she forged her time. I'm not saying she did, but that's what they allege.
Who sent the previous one? That's what I was trying to see.
You, Your Honor.
That wasn't me? Dang it.
Yes. Yes. Judgemanning.
All right. Whew, that's how many cases I see. All right.
Yes.
Then you could go ahead and remove it. Just shoot me the order, okay?
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Best of luck to you. You have a good.
Excuse.
I think that's it, right? Thank you, Mr.
Yes, Judge, I'm gonna reset